Like, Tiffany came to me and I chose you. I chose you to have your daughters killed. I chose you to get your camels stolen. I chose you to have your sheep and donkeys killed. I chose you to have your farm burned down. I chose you to get blisters like in your body. I chose you. If God told you that, what would you do? Be real. Not me. I'm like, maybe I'm not as faithful as you think I am. Like, I don't really think I'm ready for this storm. But we don't realize that God allows these things so that we can learn from them. So if you're ever doubting about your purpose, you're ever doubting that you're chosen, don't think about the negativity that's surrounding you. Think about the fact that you're probably already walking in your purpose. That God has prepared you. That you are prepared. It's interesting, I was reading someone's Facebook status, she was saying, God is coming, it's not time for you to be preparing yourself, it's time for you to be prepared. And I was thinking, I'm like, but every day you kind of have to prepare yourself for the next day. You got to kind of keep, it's like a building step. It's like you're prepared, but you still got to be prepared. It's like when a storm is coming and everyone has like those cans in their house and it's like, yeah, I'm prepared. But then the storm gets bigger and bigger, and you're like, but I could prepare a little bit more. But I could prepare a little bit more. But I could prepare a little bit more. That's how we should be walking this. Yeah, I'm prepared. But I'm going to prepare myself more. I'm going to allow God to help me be more prepared. Because the enemy, he will attack you through the things that you will least expect. Like, you could have made friends. Story. Like when you were 3 years old, never even thought about this friend. You 22 years old, never even thought about this friend. You hardly even remember this person's name, let alone their face. And you'll just be hanging out one day, everything's all nice, it's all sunny outside, looking real cute, walking, strolling, going to church. And this friend will hit you up and boom, the beginning of a problem. The enemy attacks you through the things. I doubt that, I don't know. To me, I find that for Job, I feel like his friends and his wife, I would have been in so much shock if my husband just came to me and told me what his wife told him. Do you think Job was prepared? Oh yeah, she has to be faithful. Watch her come say something to me soon. But the thing is, he was preparing. Every day he prayed. Every day he sacrificed. He did this constantly. He didn't give up on it. He didn't stop doing it. It was his regular custom. We were talking about Daniel for Bible study on Wednesday. And how even when the king decreed that no one was going to pray, he did it as custom. He did the exact same thing he would do if it hadn't been decreed. And that's how we have to be in your storm. If you pray 6 times a day, why when you're in the middle of your storm, would you stop praying 6 times a day? That's what Job did. He did it as regularly custom. He didn't stop. He didn't feel like, okay, I'm well prepared right now. I pray for my kids. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, did Job keep praying for his kids when his kids had died? I would like to think that he did. Because it may have been his storm, but he was doing whatever he had to do as regularly customs. And that's the thing that we don't understand, is that many times we go through these situations and we stop doing what God found in us to be doing so right, that he allowed these storms to come into our life. The fact that Satan came to God twice, I'm still in awe of this. And one time right this, I was like, I thought Satan came to God once and God was like, yeah, pick Job, and then all these things started happening to him. The fact that this dude, he was like, oh, the first time he goes, I came from roaming the earth, and I just want someone about it. And God's like, oh, have you found my servant Job? And I'm like, okay, one time. Then I'm reading, and then he goes, then Satan came again before God and asked the same thing again. And God's like, have you thought of my servant Job? Twice? God, really? Is that how you feel? But it's because Job was so faithful to God. God knew his heart. Not his actions, not what his friends saw, not what his wife thought, not what his kids were doing, not what his friends were doing, not what his servants were doing. He knew his heart. How well does God know your heart? That if the enemy came to him twice, God will be like, have you thought of my faithful servant? When I was, and with this I'm almost ending, when I was in high school, senior year in high school, it was like August-ish, or July. Yeah, it was July. And
What the heck?
I was in a field and I got these severe hives. First time I've ever gotten them in my life. Never ever had a hive. Now I get hives like it's some kind of sick joke. Like I'll step outside in the rain and get a hive. And I imagine Job like living with hives every single day. And it kills me because hives is like, in case anyone doesn't know what a hive is like when you have an allergic reaction to something, you start getting like these blisters in your body, and it's like having the chicken pox, and it itches as bad as the chicken pox, but the more you scratch, the more it'll spread. And like if you scratch your hand and you touch your face, it'll spread to your face. And I get them really bad. Sometimes I get them in my face and people get scared, like freaked out, because it's like just blisters. And I was just like, I get them every once in a while, it's not bad. But can you imagine having that every single day? And all you gotta do is just be like, the Lord gave, the Lord takes away.
Scratching your face.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's like, the Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Like, blessed be the name of the Lord. Like, and everyone around you is going against you, and everyone you prayed for died, and everything you worked for gone. It's still faithful. We're not all at the same level of Job. We're not all going to experience the same thing Job did. The one thing to take from him is that at all times, there's one thing he remembered is not that he was weak. He remembered who his friend came from. He was ready, not because he didn't have a moment of weakness, but because when he did have his moment of weakness, he knew where his strength came from. One of my favorite verses says is that in my weakness you are made strong. And that's what we have to remember. In our weakness is that he's made strong. So when you feel you're weak or you feel like you're not walking on your purpose, you don't know what your purpose is, just open up your heart and let God in. Let him show you that you're probably already walking in his purpose. It may not look how you expected. It may not be how you expected. It may not be in the place that you expected or around the people that you expected with. But you're already walking in his purpose. Just take a stroll forward and allow God in. And you'll realize that you're more prepared than you ever thought. That you're stronger than you ever thought. It's funny because I realized that I was watching a video of people that were they had someone describe a person, and the artist was just drawing them according to their description. So the artist drew the person, and then the artist told him to describe, like the artist wasn't looking at the actual person he was drawing. He told the person he was drawing, describe yourself to me and I'll draw you. And the person that was describing themselves, they described themselves with all these deformities, like all these things were wrong with them. But the other person that was describing the exact same person described them so beautifully and saw all the grace in their face, everything. And that's how we are sometimes. We're too busy looking at our deformities, looking at our struggles, looking at all the things going wrong in our life, that we don't realize that we've been passed through the fire and we've been approved and that we're ready. And that God is just waiting for us to be like, God, do have to break me, and reform me if you have to reform me. And you have to break me into little tiny, like sand dust. Do it. Just allow me to be strong in you, through you. And as you go about your week, you go about your day, you go about your life, just realize that you're probably stronger than you think. And that if you feel weak, then you should know that God is being really strong at that moment. And that it may look like your promises are being delayed, but they're not delayed. They're actually happening. To you, it may seem delayed because it's not. At our clock, we look and it's 12:53, and we're like, God, you told us something was going to happen at 12:53, but in the time of God, everything that was supposed to happen already happened, had happened, will happen. Everything is done, set in stone. So as you go about your life, realize that you're only strong when you're weak, because God is only strong in you, and that you're already walking in your purpose. You just have to open up your heart and realize that you have been chosen. If you weren't chosen, you wouldn't be where you are today. There's a lot of kids our age that didn't make it to this day. There's a lot of, and we're no better than them. There's a lot of kids that are not happy with their lives. And they're at the same stage in their life as we are, and we're no better than them. You have been chosen for a purpose, and you're